Hey guys, it's Mishi. Today is Yom HaZikaron, the Israeli National Remembrance or Memorial Day for fallen soldiers and victims of terrorism. And obviously it's a very strange Yom HaZikaron this year. People have been instructed to stay home, so the typically packed military cemeteries all around the country are largely empty. The mourning is more private this year, less collective. And with that, we wanted to bring you one of our favorite stories. The story of one fallen soldier, Tziki Eyal, and the bond that was created following his death. But before we replay the story, I just wanted to say that, as many of you know, Israel decided to bunch its grief and its celebration together, to juxtapose Yom HaShoah and a week later Yom HaZikaron with Yom HaAtzmaut, Independence Day, which follows immediately afterwards. Some people think that transition is too jarring, that it's schizophrenic. Others believe it's the most beautiful symbol of Israeliness. I've thought both of those things in my life, and sometimes I think them at the same time. But because no matter how we feel about it, Yom HaAtzmaut will indeed start tonight, I wanted to remind you all to join us tomorrow, Wednesday, April 29th, for Israpalooza. We've been working around the clock to prepare a truly remarkable day-long virtual Independence Day extravaganza. Thousands and thousands of folks have already gotten their tickets, and you should too. We'll be hosting Yitzhak Perlman, Nas Daly, Joe Nathan, Moshe Safdie, Amari Stademeyer, Lucy Arish, Nobel laureate Dan Shechtman, and Gil Shveid. We'll have short concerts by David Broza and Shannon Street, a cooking class with Chef Nir Mesika, a self-portrait workshop with artist Hanoch Pivin, and many other surprises throughout the day. So, trust me, you won't want to miss out. Tickets are available at israpalooza.org. That's ISRAPALOOZA.org. Alright, now that we've jumped ahead to Yom HaAtzmaut, let's settle back into the solemnness of Yom HaZikaron with a story which we first aired in 2018 by my then-girlfriend, now wife, Federica Sasso.
This story begins at the Bubbles nightclub in Thailand.
It's 2003, and Susie, who had just graduated college, was a member of the Peace Corps.
And I was stationed up north, and we were in Chiang Mai, which was amazing. Because you get to eat mangoes all day and sit in the jungle. And I discovered post-army Israelis.
It was very easy to spot them, Susie says.
Curly-haired, sun-kissed guys wearing only Thai, like tank tops and Thai pants. Always having a good time, super confident.
So one night, she was at this club with a bunch of other Peace Corps volunteers.
And it was like loud music. It was horrible. It was shitty drinks. It was gross and sweaty, but everyone went and partied until like 3 a.m.
And it was in that uber-romantic setting that Susie first laid her eyes on a skinny, handsome, and tan Israeli.
Tziki and I just hit it off immediately. He asked what I was doing in Thailand, and I was like, well, I'm a teacher. And he's like, well, you don't look like a teacher. And I was like, well, you don't look very Jewish. So then we just started dancing or something. I don't know. I was just like, what does that mean? I don't look like a teacher.
Did you kiss that night?
I don't know. We're so conservative.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know. We probably did something, right? We were like 23 and 22.
A few days later, Susie got an email from Tziki
saying, like, I have to see you again. I'm going to come visit you. And I was like, this mail is very forward, but he was really fun. So I invited him to my village, and he showed up. And that was it. That's how I met Tziki Eyal.
Seemingly, oceans set them apart. Tziki had been a tank commander in the IDF and was now in the middle of his big post-army trip. During that exact same time, Susie had been an undergrad at the University of Tulsa. He was Jewish, she was Christian.
Well, I was baptized Lutheran because my dad requested that we were baptized Lutheran, but my mom is a devout Filipino Catholic, so we were raised in the Catholic Church.
Susie basically knew nothing about Israel.
Like, I just assumed it was this dusty old Middle Eastern country that no one would want to go visit.
Whereas Tziki, on the other hand, was a big Zionist.
He was very passionate about me knowing Israel, knowing Judaism. You know, when we spoke of our future together and what was possible, he was always very much like, yeah, but we have to go back to Israel. Israel needs people like us.
That's right. It didn't take long before this Thailand fling turned serious, and they began talking about sharing a life together.
There was a lot of chemistry. I think that's when you kind of know you met someone who was going to change your life forever, because it was really this instant chemistry and this instant passion and this instant willing to like figure out how to make it work.
And they did. Long distance. See, shortly after they met, Tziki came back home to Israel and began studying management and behavioral sciences at Ben Gurion University in the Negev. Here's his mom, Tirza.
He was a very, very good student.
And in the meantime, half a globe away, Susie kept on teaching English in her small Thai village. But their love for each other, it just grew stronger and stronger by the day.
We kept like video diaries, and then every 7 days we would send and put on a CD-ROM.
After a few months of this proto-vlogging, Susie came to visit Tziki in Israel.
He's like, you must see everywhere in Israel. He took your little car from Beersheba to Haifa, meeting all of his army friends, the Dead Sea, everywhere. Like, I had to do everything. I had to eat shawarma, I had to have falafel, I had to have bamba every day. He was like, this is what we're doing, let me show you Israel, you know? I was like, all right.
Susie had a great time in Israel, but even more so, she had a great time with Tziki.
He was like always thinking of like the next big thing, you know? He was like very happy, very in touch with his emotions. He was always happy to just hang out. He was really laid back. It was refreshing.
Tirza and Moshe, Tziki's parents, were surprisingly welcoming of this non-Jewish girl from Oklahoma.
I know Tziki, if he picked Susie, so everything is okay.
Susie actually remembers a bit more pressure.
Tirza turns to me when I first meet her, and she's like, family is everything. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. Family is everything.
Back in Oklahoma, Susie's family also had some adjusting to do.
My father was a German-born older guy. He grew up in World War II Berlin. So I asked him, I was like, how do you feel about me meeting an Israeli? And he's like, Susie, I don't care. Just bring me grandchildren. When I came to Israel to visit, my dad called and wanted to speak to Tziki. And Tziki like holds a phone away from him. And he's like, your father keeps trying to speak Yiddish to me, but I don't speak Yiddish. But I guess my dad was like, you're Jewish. Doesn't everyone speak Yiddish?
Soon after she returned to Thailand from her visit in Israel, Susie received a phone call from Oklahoma.
They just said, like, you need to get on a plane. Your dad's had a heart attack.
He died a few hours later.
Then I went to Oklahoma. Me and my brother, like, cared for our mom that month and helped her sort things out.
And Tziki, from faraway Israel, was Susie's rock.
I just remember him talking about Moshe and saying that he could never imagine losing his father because his father meant so much to him. And I just remember being mad at him and telling him, like, well, at least you're the lucky one and you have your father. And he's like, I know, and I'm so sorry. And I think I even said in that conversation, like, how could you not know what it's like to lose anyone? You're from Israel, you know? And he's like, I know, but I don't, and I'm sorry. I don't think I will ever forget that conversation.
Susie eventually returned to Thailand, to the village, to her teaching. And Tsiki continued to be there for her, on Skype, over the phone, in letters. Passover break came in the middle of his second semester at university. But he didn't go visit Susie, and he didn't go home. Instead, he went to Miluim, reserve duty.
I was the one who took him to the bus, and he told me that it's not dangerous at all. And we hugged, and I was so calm. I was so confident that he will come back. I didn't think at all that something like that can happen to him. I was so confident. I don't know why I was so confident.
On April 25, 2005, 2 nights after the Passover Seder, Tsiki was manning a checkpoint outside of Hebron. A Palestinian taxi driver stopped at the checkpoint and then accelerated, ramming into Tsiki.
He fell down, and when he came up, he took a bullet.
Tsiki was killed on the spot by friendly fire from one of his teammates trying to stop the driver. Tirza and Moshe were vacationing in the north when they were notified.
And they told me that Tsiki, that's what I heard, Tsiki. And I told them, go away. I don't want to see you. Go away. And that's what I remember.
I was at a Peace Corps conference in Bangkok. I think we were doing some team building stuff. I remember because, they asked a question what are the things that you think about the most every day? And I just wrote Tsiki, and then I sat back down. When we were at the hotel, and I hadn't heard from Tsiki that day, and then my phone rang, and I answered it without even saying hello. I was like, there you are. I've been waiting for you to call all day. And then there was a pause on the other end, and it was Nadav, Tsiki's best friend. He's like, Susie, you need to sit down. And I was like, what are you talking about when I need to sit down? And he's like, it was like Tsiki's. All I know is that I threw the phone, and I just fell to the ground, clawing at the walls, asking someone to help me. And I hid under the bathroom sink, rocking myself. And then I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get on a plane. I gotta go.
Susie didn't make it in time for Tsiki's funeral, but showed up at Tirza and Moshe's home in Maskeret Batya.
I will never forget when I walk in to the Shiva house. You're on this couch here, You start wailing. What a beautiful bride you would have been.
It was so hard. And many people, how many people, Elohim?
Yeah, I come and I lay on your lap, and you just stroke me. And it was and you don't even know what to do.
Susie stayed for the entire Shiva, and when it was over, she couldn't bring herself to get back on a plane to Thailand. She couldn't leave Tirza and Moshe, and really, she couldn't leave Tsiki.
When Tsiki died, I didn't think I would be able to function ever again. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I actually assumed that I would die from grief. I didn't think I could survive.
So, not really knowing what else to do, she stayed.
I stayed in Maskeret Batya because it was safe for me. And it was a very warm and loving place.
The way Susie saw it, this was what she and Tsiki had always wanted.
We had a plan for our life together, which was to go to school, get married, live in Israel ultimately. And I figured that I would stick to that plan until I learned something different. I didn't know. I was like, this is the plan I had for my life. Do I go home or do I stay here?
So she was with us, and I felt that I was responsible for her. And I asked her if she really wants to stay in Israel. And every time I asked her, she says, yes, I want to stay.
Susie, the 24-year-old, half German, half Filipino Catholic from Tulsa, notified the Peace Corps that she wasn't coming back. And instead, she moved in with Tirza and Moshe. She lived with them for a whole year, sleeping in Tziki's bedroom, eating dinners together, becoming family.
I think grief attached us.
Yeah, sure.
We were in despair for a long time together.
It was too hard for us.
Yeah, I think it's hard for us because in many ways I'm probably a symbol of what Tziki isn't, I started Ulpan and I didn't know how to read or write. So Tirza sat with me at the table every night and taught me my Aleph Bet.
But it didn't stop at learning Hebrew. Tziki and Susie had talked about her converting to Judaism, and now, even though he was gone, Susie decided to go ahead with the plan.
My entire life fell apart. The man of my past died, the man of my future died. I was suspended in the middle of the universe. And Judaism creates a relationship with everything you do. From waking up in the morning to what you're eating, to how to view the world. If you have a question about ethics, you can rebuild your world.
In Judaism, Susie found some solace. Things fell into place for her.
I guess I put it this way. Sometimes the universe opens up. And if you keep saying yes, or why not, it leads you to places you can't imagine. I think I've always been a religious person. It's just that I never found growing up a religion that made sense to me. And then Judaism makes absolute sense. And it was very comfortable for me.
Susie converted. She could have easily closed this painful chapter of her life and moved on. But instead, she chose to embrace Israel.
It's a nation full of people who have learned to live with their grief and move forward. And it was the only place where I could heal the way I needed to heal.
Tziki and Tirza's home became her home. Their land, her land. Their religion, her religion. But Tirza didn't want their calamity, their tragedy, to govern her life. Though she cherished Susie's company, Tirza started prodding her to move on, to live.
Every time I asked you to meet people, to have a boyfriend, not to remain alone. No, I will stay with you. I told her, no, I don't want you to be with me. I want you to have a family. You have to raise a family.
She would be in her bed after hours of crying. I need to speak to you. I need you to move on.
And slowly, Susie did just that. At Ulpan, she met David, a new immigrant from London. They became friends and ultimately lovers. 3 years after Tziki was killed, Susie got married. Moshe, Tziki's dad, walked her down the aisle.
I remember the day I couldn't be very close because it was too hard for me. I cried in the corner, but afterwards I think I was okay.
You cried for 2 weeks before.
But I think we didn't see that I cried during the wedding.
Of course we did. I found a great partner and husband, and Tziki's definitely a presence in our life. We have his photo next to the Shabbat candles next to my father. I know that David is very aware that his life, he never met Tziki. It was everything that he has is because of him. We have a wonderful life now as well, and I think it's a great gift that I'm still able to share that experience with the Yao family and they can partake in it. It's not perfect, but it's ours, you know?
Susie and David have 3 children, who call Tziki's parents Saba Moshe and Savta Tirza. They visit them often and stay over for Shabbat at least once a month.
We are so pleased that you raised a very good family. And I am so pleased to see that you educate very nice your children.
Tirza said on Yom HaZikaron this year, she's like, Susie, I'm so glad you married and had children.
I'm very happy for you, really.
Mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law often have complicated relationships. And that's not even exactly what Susie and Tirza are to each other. After all, Susie has a mother-in-law, David's mom. But there's something biblical about the bond between these 2 women sitting on the couch holding hands. It's raw and loving, painful and tragic, and hopeful.
It's unconventional, but I think that it's our normal now, you know? It's just our lives. It's who we are, right? Like, it's unfortunate that life happens the way it does, but I think we learn to live alongside it and make the best of what we have. Do you want to add anything?
Sometimes I feel like I'm not living in this world, you know. But I say to myself, I have to live for my family.
I also need you guys a lot. Like, I think you and Moshe are also my rock.
I'm still living for you too.
Federica Sasso. The original music in that piece is by Ari Wenig. Sela Weisblum did the mix. Thanks to Abby Nushatz and of course to the Charles and Lynn Schusterman Family Foundation, who made this story possible. I'm Ishi Harman, and together with the rest of the Israel Story team, Yochai Meital, Zev Levi, Yoshi Fields, Joel Shupak, Skylar Inman, Abby Adler, Alex Lisagor, Sharon Rappaport, and Rotem Tzin, we can't wait to see you all at Israpalooza, our Yom HaAtzmaut day-long Zoom festival. Don't forget, it's tomorrow, April 29th, 2020, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Go to israpalooza.org to get your tickets. See you there, shalom shalom, and yalla bye.